cases when it comes to the analysis of the Cold War. Now, the first one is the onset of the Cold War. Second one is 53 to 69. And that is the era 53 to 69. That is the era of confrontation, crisis, and conflict. The era of confrontation, crisis, and conflict. Third one is 69 to 79. 69 to crisis, conflict, confrontation. That was the hottest period during the Cold War. That was when they thought the world was going to be destroyed. 79 to 86, Second Cold War. Then 89 to 91, bye-bye Cold War. 89 to 91, and it was unintended when it started in 90. Remember what I said about Germany? That I didn't want to fight two wars at the same time. The Russians were this way and the Americans were this way. Now, when they were trying to crush Germany, the Russians came from the east, the Americans came from the west. That's why they call the Cold War East-West conflict. One was coming from this side, the other was coming. So they pinched Germany in the middle. Now listen. So as Russia was coming from the east now, she was turning all those countries that she passed through to communist states. So as America was coming from the west and Britain, they were turning all those countries to capitalist states. That is where you get that title from. East-West conflict. Communism versus capitalism. By 47, Britain now told America. Britain used to be the world power back then with France. But Britain now told America that, guy, come in Europe, I don't think I have the power again to defend Greece and Turkey from Russian influence. I think I'm tired. I don't have the money. My economy is about collapsing. So I'm going to leave Greece and Turkey alone. If they want to fall to Russia, let them fall to Russia. America now stepped in and said, no, not on my watch. So in 47, America came up with what you call the economic program that was designed to help the economy of both Greece and Turkey so that they won't collapse or fall into the Russian sphere. Now, from there, America now came up with what you call containment doctrine. That is, they would check communism wherever they see that. That was how the Cold War started, like play. That is, east, the Russians were coming, west, the Americans were coming, and they met in the middle. But unfortunately, some allies of America, Britain and France, now said, no, we don't have the money to protect those countries from Russian influence. America now stepped in reluctantly. That was the origin of this war between America and Russia. America now said, okay, fine, if you don't have the money, I will step in and protect those countries. So gradually, America assumed the mantle of leadership of the free world. That was the origin of that Cold War. So 47, they came up with the Marshall Plan. That is, any country in the world that they are sure they could not actually protect themselves from Russian influence, the America will step in to protect them. And the two of them met in Brest. Russians came from the east. They all met in the capital of Germany, Berlin. Now listen, America and its allies had three. Now, they now divided the capital of Germany, Berlin, into four again. That's circle within a circle. First circle, 4. Then the capital, they now said no, that they cannot just give the capital to just one country. So they divided it into 4 again. So that means you have Germany itself divided into 4. Then the Abuja of Germany. That was what led to the first crisis between the West and Russia. They call it the Berlin blockade in 1948. Notice that people in Eastern Germany were rushing into Western Germany. That is because of the poverty. In that thing, Russia just imposed a blockade. Now that was why they call it the Berlin blockade in 1948. And it came to an end in 1949. When it came to an end in 1949, Britain, France, and the others, plus Russia, plus America, now realized that no, there is no way they are safe as long as Russia is still within Europe and America is far away. To resolve that problem, that was why they came up with that alliance that you now called North Atlantic Treaty Organization in 1949. Simple. That was why they formed NATO in 1949. So Berlin, Germany, Berlin blockade came to an end in 1949. Then by 1949, to guarantee their security, to ensure that America will not run away like they did for the League of Nations. They now, in 1949 again, China gained its independence. China became an independent state. Then there, is a game between the Russians and the Americans. America supported one side, the communists supported the one they supported lost out in the American Civil War. And they had to run away to leave China to an island today called Taiwan. That's the origin of their crisis now. That China is now saying they must get that country back by force, by fire. And America said, no, if you try, we'll go to war. So the one the Americans supported lost that conflict. So they had to leave mainland China and they run to an island. That is where you now have Taiwan. So by 49, Mao became the undisputed leader in China. So you have Russia communism, then you have Chinese communism. By 1950, you have the two Vietnams, North and South Vietnam. I've told you the origin now. America took one, then Russia took one. Forcefully, the North wanted the two countries to become one. That's North and South to become one. So they declared war. The war started in 1950. So America supported one side. Then you can now see why they call it the Cold War. The major powers were not fighting, but they were supporting one side against the other. That's why they call it a proxy war. Proxy war is when you are not fighting, but you encourage others to do your fighting for you. Proxy. So America supported South Korea. Then Russia supported North Korea. So the first major war we had at the end of the Second World War was the Korean War of 1950. And the war came to an end in 1953. That was why I call it the onset of the Cold War. Based on what I've said, you can now see how the war have now left Europe, now into Asia. So 1949, China became an independent state. By 1950, they had already taken sides. I mean, communists now aligned with Russia. Then they picked on South Korea. They supported North Korea against South Korea. Then you get the Korean War that lasted for 3 years, the first major conflict, immediately after the Second World War. So 53 to 69, I said the period of conflict. It was during that period that we had what you call the Cuban Missile. Britain, France, and Israel attacked Egypt. Well, that's what you. Now I said 69 to 79. That's the period of the detente. There are three things there that mark that period. Now the first one is the detente. The detente was between America and Russia. Second one is the rapprochement between America and China. And the third one is Ostpolitik between Germany. This way, they were trying to normalize their relationship. So they are trying to normalize their relationship. So it was during that period that they tried to sign arms control and arms limitation agreement. So during that time, they tried to sign arms control and arms limitation. In 79, two things happened. In 79, the Shah of Iran was deposed. The Shah of Iran, Shah is the king of Iran, was deposed. That man was friendly towards America. Then two, Russia had its own Vietnam. Russia invaded Afghanistan. Russia had its own Vietnam. That 85 tried to reform and introduce two programs. In Russian, they call it Glasnost and Perestroika. Perestroika is restructuring, economic restructuring. Glasnost is openness. That was what Gorbachev was trying to do, to reform the Russian economy and the Russian political space. But lo and behold, people said no, they've had enough. America now capitalized on that, and that was what brought that Cold War to an end. First in 89, East and West Germany, they destroyed the Berlin Wall that separated them. The wall was built in 1961. They destroyed that wall. So that is why there is no East or West Germany till today. It's just one Germany. There are all other states that were communist now, threw off the yoke of communism. But by 1991, finally, USSR fragmented into 14 republics, thereby bringing an end